This is perfect.
Being with you is.
I love you.
I love you too.
The dim glow of a single chem-lamp flickered against the cracked concrete walls of the old bunker, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts across the floor. Outside, the distant rumble of artillery rolled like thunder that never quite stopped, and every few seconds a sharper crack plasma rifles, maybe, echoed closer than I liked. I knelt beside her, my hands steady even though my heart hammered against my ribs. She was massive, easily 2 heads taller than me, her obsidian scales still slick with the blood of the soldiers she'd torn apart only an hour ago. They had bred her for war, cloned in some sterile vat on a world I'd never seen, engineered with predator instincts and loyalty protocols drilled so deep that mercy was just another word for weakness. But right now, those same protocols were tearing her apart from the inside. Her chest rose and fell in ragged bursts, the restraint cuffs I'd jury-rigged from scavenged wire biting into her wrists. She hadn't tried to break them yet, but her golden eyes, slit like a cat's and glowing with that unnatural bioluminescence, never left my face. "Human," she snarled, the word dripping venom through sharpened teeth. "Finish it. Your kind always does." I didn't flinch. I'd seen too many like her on too many battlefields, but none had looked at me quite like this. Like she was waiting for the blade she'd been taught to expect. "Not today," I said softly, dipping a rag into the canteen of purified water. The cloth came away stained pink as I wiped the gash along her collarbone. She hissed, muscles coiling like cables under her skin, but she didn't pull away. "That was new. You're not dying in this hole. Not if I can help it." A low growl vibrated through her throat, the sound more animal than speech. "They made me to kill humans. To end your pathetic empires." One touch from these claws, she flexed her fingers, the black talons scraping concrete with a screech that set my teeth on edge, and your heart would be on the floor before you could scream. Why chain me? Why waste breath? I met her stare without blinking, even as another explosion outside shook dust from the ceiling. It pattered down like gray snow, settling on her scales and my shoulders alike. "Because I saw you hesitate," I answered. The words hung between us, heavy as the air. "Back on the ridge. You had me dead to rights, my squad scattered, my rifle jammed. But you stopped. Just for a second. Long enough for me to drag you in here instead of putting a round through your skull." Her eyes narrowed, the glow dimming for a fraction of a heartbeat. Suspicion warred with something rawer, something she clearly didn't have a name for. Hesitation is failure. They burned it out of us in the creches. Pain for mercy. Pain for doubt. I should have. She cut herself off, jaw clenching so hard I heard the grind of bone. Her breathing hitched, and I realized she was fighting it, the programming, the memories, the way her body screamed at her to lunge and end me. I kept my movements slow, deliberate, the way you'd approach a wounded wolf that hadn't decided whether to bite or bolt. "What did they burn into you, exactly?" I asked, pressing a fresh bandage over the wound. The adhesive hissed as it sealed, and she flinched, not from pain, I think, but from the gentleness. No one had ever touched her like this. Not without a shock collar or a handler's whip. "Tell me. I've got time. Unless those patrol drones out there decide to sweep this sector in the next 10 minutes. She laughed then, a broken, bitter sound that echoed off the walls. "Time? You humans and your time. We were decanted fully grown, given blades before we could walk. I was batch 7, prime stock. They fed us war sims from the moment our eyes opened, cities burning, your kind begging, my sisters dying beside me in perfect formation. Peace? The word came out like a curse. Peace is the lie you tell your weaklings so they sleep at night. I was bred to shatter it." Another rumble outside, closer now. Footsteps? Or just the wind kicking debris? My hand tightened on the rag, but I didn't look away from her. "Maybe," I said. "But I'm not your handler. I'm not your empire. I'm just a guy from a little blue planet who's seen enough death to know it doesn't have to be the only story." I reached into my pack and pulled out the small foil packet, contraband chocolate from the last resupply drop, half melted and smelling like heaven in this hellhole. I broke off a square and held it out between us, palm open, no sudden moves. Here. Taste something that wasn't engineered to keep you alive just long enough to kill again. Her gaze flicked to the chocolate, then back to me. Suspense thickened the air. I could feel her calculating, strike now, or wait for the trap? Her claws twitched. One wrong breath and this could end with my throat open like a can. But she leaned forward, just enough, nostrils flaring at the unfamiliar sweetness. Poison, she demanded, voice rough. Only if you count happiness as poison. I popped a piece into my own mouth first, chewing slowly so she could see. The sugar hit my tongue like a memory of home campfires, laughter, nights without sirens. Her expression cracked, just a hairline fracture in that armored face. She snatched the square with her teeth, careful not to nick my fingers, and the moment it melted on her tongue her eyes widened. A shudder ran through her entire frame, scales rippling like dark water. What is this? She whispered, the growl gone for the first time. Peace, I said simply. Or the start of it. No objectives. No kill counts. Just sugar and quiet and someone who isn't trying to break you. I let my hand rest near hers, not touching, but close enough that she could feel the warmth. Outside, the artillery paused for a blessed second, and in that silence the bunker felt almost safe. Almost. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're insane. My neural lattice is firing warnings, terminate threat, report position, purge weakness. I can feel it crawling under my skin like fire. Her voice dropped, trembling now. They showed me holos of your kind. Soft. Fragile. But you look at me like I'm not the monster they built. Because you're not, I answered, and the words came from somewhere deeper than training or orders. Not to me. You're someone who was never given a choice. And right now, in this hole with the world burning outside, I'm choosing for both of us. Stay. Breathe. Let the war wait 5 damn minutes. I shifted closer, ignoring the way my own pulse spiked with the risk. My fingers brushed the edge of her scaled forearm warm, alive, trembling. She didn't pull away. Instead, a sound escaped her throat, half sob, half snarl, like something ancient breaking open. I don't know how, she admitted, the confession raw as an open wound. Every memory is blood in orders. The creche masters would shock us for closing our eyes too long. Sleep was weakness. Stillness was death. But this... She glanced down at my hand, then up at the flickering lamp, this quiet. It feels like falling without impact. Like the universe forgot to scream for once. I nodded, throat tight. The emotional weight of it pressed on my chest, her pain, centuries of engineered suffering crammed into one engineered body, and here she was, letting a human see it. That's peace, I told her. Not absence of war. Just presence of something else. Like this. I reached up slowly and brushed a stray lock of her crest feathers, black and iridescent, matted with dust, away from her face. She froze, every muscle locked, but her eyes fluttered shut for the briefest second. When they opened again, they were wet. Actual tears, glinting in the chem-light. I'd never seen one of her kind cry. They weren't supposed to be able to. A sudden whine pierced the silence outside. Drone engines, definitely. Close. Too close. My heart lurched into my throat. Her head snapped toward the sealed hatch, body coiling on instinct, the war machine waking. They're coming, she rasped. My signal beacon. I can feel it pulsing. If I don't answer. Then don't, I cut in, voice urgent but steady. I gripped her wrist, not to restrain, but to anchor. Stay here. With me. Let them pass. One choice. Yours. Not theirs. The drone's skin beam swept the bunker door, a thin red line slicing through the cracks. We held our breath together, bodies inches apart, her scales brushing my arm. Time stretched like wire about to snap. If she called out now, we both died. If she stayed silent, maybe, just maybe, something new could begin in this tomb of concrete. Her claws flexed once, twice. Then, impossibly, they relaxed. The beacon hum inside her chest faded as she willed it silent. I could see the effort in the strain of her jaw, the way sweat beaded on her brow despite the chill. The drone passed. The whine receded. And in the sudden, ringing quiet, she turned back to me with eyes that weren't quite golden anymore. Something softer lived there now, fragile as new glass. "You showed me," she breathed, the words barely audible, "what it feels like when the killing stops. Not victory. Not defeat. Just this." Her hand turned in mine, palm up, and for the first time she didn't threaten. She simply held on. "It's terrifying. And warm. Like the chocolate. Like your voice in the dark." I smiled, small and real, even as another distant explosion reminded us the war still waited. "Welcome to peace, soldier. It's messy. It hurts sometimes. But it's yours now if you want it." Her fingers tightened around mine, not crushing, but clinging. And in that single flickering moment, with the world still burning outside our walls, I watched the weapon they had bred her to be crack open just wide enough for a human heart to slip inside. She exhaled, long and shaky, and the sound wasn't a growl anymore. It was almost a sigh. "Show me more," she whispered. "Before the next shell falls. Show me what else peace can feel like." I didn't let go. Neither did she. And for the next precious minutes, while the chem-lamp burned low and the artillery stayed mercifully distant, I did exactly that. Talking softly of open skies and slow mornings, of hands that built instead of broke, of a little blue planet where war wasn't the only inheritance. Her scales warmed under my touch. Her eyes stayed open, drinking it in like a desert flower finally tasting rain. The suspense of survival hung over us like a blade, but inside that bunker, something unbreakable was being forged, not in fire and orders, but in quiet, trembling hope. And when the next patrol finally passed without detecting us, she leaned her head against my shoulder, careful, tentative, like she might shatter us both. "They bred me for war," she murmured against my neck, voice thick with wonder and fear and the first fragile threads of something like trust. "But you showed me what peace feels like. And I think I want to learn how to keep it." Outside, the world kept burning. Inside, for one stolen scene in the dark, it didn't have to.